All right, well, hello and welcome back as we are into the week that will start the playoffs. But before that, we got one more part of the break to fulfill, and that is going to be our awards show. Now, I'm not going to be going through this alone as we do have a Koa here. How you doing?
Hello, doggo. I just got home, so
True.
I was a little late, but I'm here now, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. Now, of course, baseline. We got our normal 5 awards. We got MVP, offensive, defensive, manager, and those go for both Prism and Pixel. And then we also have our community MVP. So, standard list of awards.
I will say this season I think was probably the hardest altogether to pick awards for. I don't know about you, doggo, but I think we all every single one of them had debate.
I
So that was
agree.
kind of sucked, but
For
it was
different
like
reasons, but
yeah, it was
yeah.
like a week and a half of me, doggo, and bacon talking about
Yeah.
how we want to do awards because it was just such a headache with how everyone did this season. So,
Yeah.
but we did get it done. That's
Absolutely. Now, looking, we always talk about it, so I put it on there. A couple things that, of course, we thought about with these. Team performance matters. So that means someone on a first place team is a lot more likely to get an award than someone on a ninth place team. Also, only one player award can go to a team, meaning that if a player on, say, um, Miami wins MVP, a player on Miami also can't win offensive, etc. Also, impact to team may be considered. That was me basically saying that team composition matters. So a player who is like clearly the player on their team will get an advantage over a team that is just three all really good players. Then also the community MVP was decided by ownership. That's a constant. And only the regular season counted, which means for us essentially, play-in results did not matter. Although if you're in the play-ins, you're probably not getting an award anyway. Sounds right, Ka?
sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anything else we can note with that. Of course, we'll talk about the decisions of each award and all that when we get there too. But that's just kind of the baseline reminders.
Hey, doggo, you want to kick us off here with our offensive player?
Well, first, I did a lot. I spent a while typing out these previous winners, and honestly, I did not remember a lot of them. It's been a while, man.
You had to go dig.
Oh, I did. I went through all my graphics and had to find them. As Pitt, we're doing Prism first, by the way. But I mean, we got a couple repeats in here. I mean, Murs getting offensive first, or no, defensive first, and then later MVP. Wico um getting what does he get? He gets Pixel offensive, then Pixel defensive in different years, and now moving up to Prism. Then, of course, we had Unfo getting Pixel MVP before he moved up. We have a lot of Hallow. Last 2 MVPs.
Big shocker, big shocker.
Crazy. So, I thought this was interesting. Hey, you're on there. You're on the board.
Unsurprisingly, you're also on the board, doggo.
This is true. That was years ago.
It
That's
was
been
like
a
a
while.
year and a half.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
like
like
a
a
year.
year
It was
ago.
a year, maybe. It's not been that long.
I
But
snaked that defensive player from you.
this is
Snaked that one
true.
out.
This is true. Well, now though, I do think we are about ready. So again, we're going to start with Prism, and we're going to go with offensive first. Now, I mean, I think all of these, it's going to be a lot easier to just start with kind of announcing it because
Yeah,
it's a
and then
lot easier to
you can
talk about candidates and the discussion afterwards.
I agree.
So, without further ado, the first award of the night will be the Offensive Player of the Season for the Prism League, which we have decided will go to LA2 of the Hanoi Hydras.
Yay, lad.
What?
Yay.
That was an oversight on my part that I did the pixel font for the placements there, but that's fine.
Well, it happens.
It stands out. It's a different font. It's fine. It's good enough. It does the job. It's whatever. I did these all this afternoon. It's fine.
Last minute scribble.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think it's safe to be said the main candidates for this are LA2 and Halio.
Yeah.
And so I think what stood out to us is, I mean, just looking at the team impact, as Lemon were doing MVP last, but tied second in goals. Of course, just Hallow ahead of him, and he's tied with Halio. And then also second in assists, second to Lemon on his same team, by the way. So clearly, both him and Halio very involved in the offensive half. But I think it's the fact that he also has the assists, as well as the fact that, I mean, if you compare him and Halio's stats, he has a lot less saves, which shows that he's spending a lot less time on that side of the ball and is leaning more into the offense.
Yeah, this pick it's tough. We'll kind of get, obviously, like, him and Verm have been tearing it up this season offensively. So this one was really tough to narrow this one down. I feel like we'll have more discussion about our picks after we finish all of them, so we don't,
of course,
But yeah, it was a tough pick. There was a lot of debate on how we should do this, but I know Lat had a fantastic season, and it's always nice to have someone new on the board. Hasn't won an award
True.
yet, so
true.
Big ups for Lat.
Yeah. And so with that, I think we're ready to move down to defensive, right?
We are indeed ready to move to our Prism Defensive Player of the Season. Yeah, that one's mine. So without further ado, our Defensive Player of the Season for Prism Season 4 will be JT.
Now,
the man, the myth, the legend, my best friend.
To be fair,
sometimes.
This is one that a little bit, now, I want to look at Jay's stats. He is very much in the conversation. This is a little bit of a, well, it has to be.
Yeah. If you're keeping up with season stats, I think you kind of already know where we're going with MVP.
Yes.
Because there's an obvious answer. And he obviously would have won a defensive, but he can't. So
yes.
We kind of had to scramble a little bit for defensive player because there wasn't really someone who jumped out at us, other than people who were on teams already that were getting awards.
You know what I also noticed from our discussion?
Go ahead.
I don't know if it speaks well or bad on me. The last 3 defensive players of the season have been on my team.
Yeah, well, you do well, so that's part of the problem.
That is part of it.
You're always winning. You're usually on a pretty good team, so
yeah.
that helps your case a lot.
Yeah. but obviously, we say all this. We don't want to put down Jay. He has these stats that, again, he does have more saves than anyone else in a conversation, which is why it does fall to him and it does have to be him, because no one else, I mean, like, Koa has more saves, but he's on Arcadia. Obviously, we mentioned Hallow.
So,
Zach has similar numbers, but he's on Hallow's team, so clearly doesn't have the most impact. Like, there are some other names, maybe like Hallow J, but again, LA2's already won an award. So it just makes sense that Jay's going to end up falling into this award. And it is a great season by him, but that's where that goes. And I think, are we ready? I mean, I guess we got to wait a minute, right? We got 30 seconds. We got 30 seconds.
Gotta wait for Bacon's timer, right?
This is true, gamer. He did have to carry Kilo, and that is a fate worse than death.
I can't agree that it is. Maybe you should be looking at it like that. Maybe Kilo's teammate is the one that always gets the defensive player of the season.
Now that we know Kilo didn't win an award, we're going to look at his stats, point, and laugh. No, he led the team in assists. He did that.
He hit the crossbar. Good job, Kilo.
Good job, Kilo. Not as many times as Jay.
Well, Jay is crossbar king. I literally don't know anyone else who hits the bar as much as JT.
Koa, have you looked at the manager of the season prediction?
I have not.
Yep.
I can't even see it.
Anyway, yeah, I think we're ready for that award now.
Right.
So I'm gonna move over to that. Yeah, but I think this is another tough one. Again, we'll look at it. We'll talk about it once it's announced. So, you ready to get into it, Koa? This is mine to announce.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right. Well, again, a bit of a tough one. Back and forth we go. But your manager of the season for the Prism League in Season 4 will be Wiko. I think the people voted Vice. That's probably the other choice, right? I mean,
there was a lot of discussion.
Yeah. For us,
about this one,
there were 3 options: Halio, Wiko, Vice. Right?
Yeah.
Because for us, it came down to Vice built a super team. And a lot of the time, we look for those moves. We look for that active managing. But at the same time, that team is still 6th place. And they didn't have a player for the last 2 weeks of the season. So even ignoring anything you could say about before or whatever, the team just hasn't taken off as much as you think they can. And I think they're a team that can win the championship. But again, we care about team performance. And Wiko built this team. He made the move. And he beat both of the other top teams. Yes, they lost to Calgary, but they earned that number 1 seed, and they looked like the best team doing that. Now, of course, we also mentioned Halio. I mean, look at his draft. Look at their season. They lose that game to Chicago, and they lose a couple points just because they didn't have to make any moves. So, it's not a very active season, which, again, we like to call out. But I think also him beating Lincoln kind of put him over Jay. So then it was Halio or Wiko, and we just think it goes with Wiko because it's a great season from him.
Yeah, this was a tough one. Wiko did lose points for his draft. His phone died. Unfortunate. I didn't want to hold it against him that much because he was there and he was being active. Just his phone died. So bad planning.
Yeah.
Maybe not a bad manager, but bad planning. But I think Wiko, he did what he wanted to do. He got his player, and then he picked up Zach. And they've been doing well. Obviously, with the 1 seed. So
they've been doing okay.
Yeah, they're the 1 seed. So I mean, yeah, big ups Wiko. Welcome to Prism, buddy.
Koa, I just want you to know you're an option in the Prism MVP.
Yeah, that's
this
great.
prediction is so funny.
I've been a manager for 3 weeks.
No,
dude,
have you looked at the MVP prediction?
What do we do?
It's Hallow, Koa, Colbob, Code, Stewie.
That's bacon.
I mean, to be fair, the other candidates have won an award already. So, well, I mean, now that that's closed, should we move to that, Koa? Because I know it's going to be a really tough, no one knows who it is.
It's a real nail biter for MVP here. Yeah, but moving on to our Prism MVP, to absolutely no one's surprise, it's going to be Hallow for
Yeah,
the third straight season.
yeah,
It's an animal.
yep. I mean, two parts to this. First of all, of course, we have to mention honorable mentions Halio and LA2. Hanoi had an incredible season with most seasons, at least one of them could have won the MVP. But, couple things. First of all, they're on the same team, which again nerfs them a little bit. Second of all, look at the stats. Hallow's first in goals. He's also first in shots. He is first in saves, and his team was number one out of the season. Like, there was a little bit of debate on this, whether one of those Hanoi players should get it, but at the end of the day, it's just Hallow. And for the third season in a row, it's just obvious.
Yeah. There was a bit of debate. I'd say this one was probably the easiest one just because we were talking about it. And obviously, like, our first thought was Hallow gets defensive because he's absolutely miles ahead of everybody in saves. But it just was upon like us talking about it, like it was just so abundantly clear, like he was the front runner on his team. No hate to Lat and Halio, but I mean,
They have Lemon on their team.
yeah, yeah, they do. But man, he's just absolutely killed it this season, and it's been an absolute freak.
Yeah.
So you just can't give it to Hallow.
I
Can't give it to
mean,
anyone.
end of the day, it boils down to the fact that if a player is on the number one team and leads the league in goals and leads the league in saves, what are you supposed to do? You know? Like,
Yeah,
who else is it supposed to go to? So obviously, this impacted everything else. Because, like we mentioned, Zach had a lot of saves, but he had less than Hallow and was also on Chicago. Then this opened it up that one of a Hanoi player was going to win offensive. So again, then it turned into Halio versus LA2. LA2 is more offensive focused. He gets offensive. So, and also again, like we mentioned a little bit subtly, but not really. 82 saves. Hallow led the league. It wasn't very close. He would have won defensive, but obviously won MVP. So then it falls to Jay as the next option.
God damn it, Bacon. I'm looking at the community
I
award
do
poll.
want to point out that Smurfy is in the community award poll.
That is exactly what I was looking at.
Yep. Yep.
Oh no, dude. Oh god.
Honestly, though, through Prism, I mean, first of all, a lot of the time the options it is fairly clear, which fair enough. You know, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but we want to gamble. But people voted pretty well outside of manager, which I think has an argument. So, what do you mean, Lemon? You've won community MVP before, so clearly you're a candidate. Smile.
You have one.
Ownership love you, I think. Obviously. They didn't regret it as soon as they gave you that award. Definitely not. Well, are we ready to move on? Is there anything else you want to say about Prism for now?
I'm good. Unless anyone has any questions.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm good to go.
Okay. Well, we can move down then to the community MVP. Obviously, our little break between the leagues, because this is one from someone in the community, whether in one league, whether in the other, doesn't really matter, as chosen by owners. Now, I'm not sure we're going to have an owner jump in as we have in the past, but I feel like this is another one that maybe in some ways not as clear as in past seasons, but in many more, there was a standout. There was a candidate, and that candidate did end up taking it. Do you want to announce it, Koa, or is this one down to me?
Sure, I can do that.
Or Bacon could jump in.
Or Bacon could jump in. Give him a minute.
I mean,
if he wants to jump in or not.
We do like to have an owner jump in and give it. We've had, I think, Shade and Koala do it in the past. So if Bacon wants to jump in. Okay.
Oh, there he is.
And we'll do this first. So, on your call, Bacon.
So yes, community MVP. It's been questionable. I have to mute stream. Holy crap. Okay. It's been questionable in the past, but we look for people that are heavily present, not only in Discord but in the Twitch chats. That's why there's been criticism in the past. It's maybe not necessarily always the most friendly person, but it is the person that's driving interaction. Ko is laughing, he knows, but it's driving interaction in the different Discord chats and on Twitch, whether positive or negative, but still generally positive. This season, we felt it best for this award to go to Kellen. Kellen, even though being joining late and being a PFA, did get some in-game action, but it was always highly active on Twitch, watching both Pixel and Prism streams, and engaging in chat, looking for the gamble, picking a team and hyping up individual players. I found this overwhelmingly positive. It's kind of what we're here for. Just people cheering on people they don't necessarily always get to play with. Um, but yeah, Kellen always about his predictions. Definitely watched most series. Pretty active in the Discord for not being registered to a team. Did get a chance to sub in for Calgary. And overall, kind of, for quite some time, Kellen has been a pillar in the community. He's always been around. Another one of our Canadian brothers. And, we could not be more thankful to have him part of 8-Bit.
And I did think it wise to not write gambling addict on this graphic. So I did write prediction instead. That was a little bit of diction.
That would have been
But
pretty funny.
It would have been.
Maybe a little messed up, but it would have been
maybe
funny.
TOS.
Kellen, if you do have a problem, let me know. I have the number. Shade has sent it to me multiple times because of my FanDuel activity. So
and you
if you
do
need
have
help,
it blocked.
sure,
But you
yeah,
do
of
have
course.
it written down.
Yeah, I do have it. So reach out if you need help. But congrats, Kellen, and thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, I will add on. Like I've spent a lot more time with Kellen lately. I've been hanging out in his Discord. That guy shows out for his friends in every Twitch chat. Really good guy, awesome friend, and we're really thankful to have you here, Kellen. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I mean, we'll reiterate as with every season. The point isn't to just give it to someone who's directly part of the league, like me or like an owner. The point is to give it to a part of the community who drives that, even though they don't have to. They don't run it directly, and yet they still help to drive it. And so that's why it always goes to someone like Kellen or like Pitt last season. I mean, he's doing his playoff predictions again. So, a fun award for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kellen, and thank you, boys. Have a good rest of the stream.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You too. I was surprised going back to look at it because my first idea instead of or on top of the 8-Bit logo was to put like his past teams, but then I saw he really only played in season 1.
I was like, I don't know if he's.
It feels like he's always here. Like he's always around.
He shows out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one comment that especially like I was thinking about as the next prediction goes up is it makes it hard. Like I think MVP should be last because MVP, but I think there's an argument for it to be first, honestly.
Yeah, just to rip the Band-Aid off.
Also because so many of the other awards happen as a fallout of MVP.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So
I completely understand that.
Should we just I mean, Bacon has his prediction, but we could switch it. Should we do MVP first? Because I was just thinking about it. It was obviously kind of the same for Prism. It's true again for Pixel. The MVP kind of determines the other awards for Pixel, especially.
Give me a new poll. Yeah, give me a new poll.
Let's switch it. Let's do MVP first.
We'll do MVP, offensive, defensive, and then we'll do manager last.
Yeah, well,
that's what
we'll do that, and we'll obviously wait for a new poll because just to lay the stage, Pixel especially. Like, Prism was hard mainly because, like, we knew it was going to be Hallow. Then we knew offensive was going to go to those two. Then it was deciding manager, and it was deciding if we wanted to give defensive to Jay, which we felt happy about. Pixel was an absolute mess.
It was a mess. It was an absolute mess because there's a couple people who really stand out, and we were like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it was like, but who do we put in where?
And teams becomes a factor.
Yeah.
Teams very much becomes a factor. And so we got to the point where we were writing out iterations. Like, okay, if we give this person MVP, it probably falls like this. If we give this other person, it probably falls like this. And we're switching things around, and we're trying to figure out how it possibly goes. And so this was a tough one. Pixel in general. So I think by the time we settled on our MVP, everything else was clearer. But it also became a little bit harder to decide MVP because then other players may have deserved other awards that they kind of get locked out of because of MVP and whatever. It's tough, you know?
It was a tough one. How long we got on that prediction? Like a minute?
A minute.
30 seconds?
I do like these options. I like a good defane in there.
Why is no one voting for him?
There's 5 good options, and then Bacon went, I want 7. Give me some names. Who's been in the chat tonight? How can I say Defane's name somehow?
Goodness me.
So
Defane. He's been on a team for like 3 weeks.
yeah, man. Wait, let's see how are those stats looking, man.
Oh no. How many games played does Defane have?
He was on Inchin. He has 5 games. 3 goals. 23% shooting. Okay, but his assist saves demos counts 3, 4, 5.
Hey. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think he deserves MVP for that alone, honestly. He taught me how to count. That's crazy.
He taught me how to count his crazy work. That's crazy.
I'd never seen those numbers in sequence before.
What the hell is a 3, 4, 5? You telling me a shrimp fried this rice?
No way. Anyway, I think the prediction ended. We might be able to stop getting whatever's happening here.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Doggo.
All right. Well, changing things up, we're going to do MVP first, and the MVP of the Pixel League in Season 4. There was a lot of discussion, but in the end, we give it to Cozy. And there you go.
Yeah. He obviously, if you're looking at the graphic, first in shots, first in goals, team record second. Yeah, I mean, really great season for Cozy. Was an offensive demon, raw in the chat. It was definitely there was some toss up there.
Yeah. I think obviously honorable mentions to Bacon and Honda. I think Bacon was the main one we considered, but Honda also a lot of impact on his own. So, I mean, obviously Aiden becomes a factor because Daytona are a team that has those top 2. But at the same time, kind of the counter to that is like Boston and Madison are both more balanced teams, while it feels like Cozy and Aiden stand out on their teams. So that almost works in his favor. And then, again, first in goals, first in shots. And it kind of felt like they were more dominant throughout the season, while the other teams kind of struggled at times, even though Boston, of course, ended up a series better.
And I see a justice for Gavin from Hollow. It's strictly like he had a phenomenal season.
You know, all I need to say, that was Cozy last season. Cozy's team finished, I think, 9th in Pixel. He was the player on that team who stood out and had decent stats. But again, Gavin was not saving their season. His stats aren't like incredible, and team performance matters. If you're putting up good stats and your team is still losing and falling into the play-in tournament, and I believe losing in the play-in tournament, how much can you be an MVP? So,
But he did have a phenomenal season.
of course. You know what? That's fair, Hallow.
He had a great season, but his team did not do well. So
Yeah.
it's we stand by the, and we've been very very adamant about that. Your team record matters, your team placement matters a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Because if you're losing, then why are you winning awards? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To me, at least. So.
And then the reason that I felt important to put this first is, again, by the team thing, Aiden will not get defensive. That's kind of the main direct fallout of that, right? That kind of, obviously it's not the same because Hallow is just the MVP, but in the same way that Hallow was the clear defensive and then he gets MVP, so he can't get that, here Aiden would have been, at the very least, one of the clear favorites for defensive, but this knocks him out of that. And so that was the change up. You know, if you put Bacon in this, well, then you need to figure out does Cozy win an award or does Aiden get defensive and all of that. So there's a lot to figure out with that.
That was the struggle, I think, here was with the Cozy Aiden
Mm-hmm.
thing, was if Cozy doesn't get MVP, who gets the other two?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously Aiden had a great season with the saves and Cozy had a great season with the shots and goals, so it was definitely a coin flip there. But we got it figured out. So
absolutely, yeah. And like there was some back and forth, but I think really the last week showed very well on Cozy because it was because we met before the last week and we knew it was mainly between Bacon and Cozy. And obviously both teams won. But even if it was sub roster, all of that, it was a very convincing win for Daytona last week, which really kind of set Cozy as the performer out of the two.
All right. Do we want to do offensive player next, Sir Dog?
I think we can.
All right. That'll move us on to our Pixel offensive player of the season. He's one of the beautiful boys. He's an amazing butterfly boy. It's Honda. What a guy. Let me tell you about this guy. His wings, they're beautiful. They're fluttery. Yeah, it was... this one, post us picking MVP, wasn't overly difficult.
I mean, this one, there's an argument for Bacon. There's an argument for Honda. There's an argument for Cozy. It was probably one of the three, right?
Yeah.
And so,
and when we picked MVP, we'll get to defensive player, but once we got those two figured out, it was very very evident it was going to be our offense player of the season.
mm-hmm.
The Monarchs obviously had a really good start, kind of slowed down towards the end, but still ended in fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And Honda was a big part of that with his 43 goals and 30 assists. Big ups for Honda.
Yeah, I mean, you can see tied third in goals, only between Cozy, Bacon, or only below Cozy and Bacon, also tied with Craney in that. Then he's second in assists, just behind Aiden, and also third in shots, behind Cozy and Aiden. So, again, a lot of these same names popping up. And, again, there's an argument you can look towards like a Bacon, but Bacon also has 16 less assists. And so I think that's kind of one of the main separations there. That Madison were a team that lived and died by offense. And out of that offense, Honda is the one getting the goals and getting the assists. So he's really just driving that entire half of the field.
And I'll tell you what, I would die before putting a Monarch as my defensive player of the season.
Oh, 100%.
I would die before I did that. No hate to you guys, but Yeah, no. So Honda, yeah, offensive player. Team definitely lived and died by the offensive sword. So they're very fitting that they have their offensive player of the season.
Absolutely. And again, obviously a very strong, balanced season by Honda as well, enough to earn him an honorable mention in the MVP. So, yeah, a very good season, definitely deserving of this award. Just feels a little bit of a sour taste with the way that Madison ended their season, obviously losing to both Incheon and Boston. And then, of course, they get that win back over Daytona, but then they lose to Buffalo in the last week. So definitely going to be a team to watch heading into the playoffs. But I think still a very strong season. Definitely proves they're one of the top teams. And out of that, out of a very offensive-minded team, Honda showed up pretty well.
And to answer Hallow's question, I'd say the favorite for Pixels right now is Coastline and the Falcons.
So there's a
my
top four.
picks.
And one of those four will definitely win it, but I don't know which. There's
But,
Boston, Daytona, Madison, and Incheon. And it's going to be one of those four. And
Bacon is correct that one of those four beat the other three. But can you do it twice is the question.
It's Boston are going to be the favorite because they have looked so good recently and because they've beaten all the others. But they beat all the others in game fives. So it's obvious it can go the other way if a team's playing better, a team's playing worse. And pretty much all of the other top teams beat each other. And so, whoever shows up on the day out of those top four will probably win. And it's just going to be who is it. But we'll see. I agree, Bacon. I mean, to be fair, Lincoln Calgary should go hard too. And yeah, I think Pixel semis should go hard. Prism, Chicago should be into the playoffs mostly free. And it's the other half of the bracket that will be very interesting. And all that to say, Arcadia to the finals.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, why stop here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
so defensive?
Anyway, yeah, defensive player of the week. That's our season, doggo. That's all you.
Absolutely. So we are 2 out of our 3 player awards down. We have 1 left to go, and there's one team who hasn't gotten it out of the teams who are gonna get an award. And so as we roll forward, it's a player who took his team's lead just in the last week, as the defensive player of the season will go to Bacon. And I mean, pretty well deserved. I think there were multiple options here. There was Bacon. Before the last week, there was Gamer. And there was JXL. And obviously Aiden, if Bacon got MVP. So, this was another tough award. I think Bacon was going to get one of the awards. And as soon as Cozy locked up MVP, it was then where exactly does he fall? And it could have been Bacon offensive, JXL defensive, or it could have been Honda offensive, Bacon defensive. And I think it goes to show again that Bacon led his team and was a very strong part of his team's defense. And then out of that, I think just had more than most of the other people in the field. Obviously, JXL ends with a couple more saves than him, but I also bring up the point that a decent amount of those saves were gotten in his time with Vancouver. Now, I don't think that completely sunk him, because there was still a decent amount he got with Incheon as well. So, of course, you have to be fair there. But just quality of game, Bacon was doing it all season, and I think he just barely pulled ahead in winning this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough just because I think I was more in favor of him doing the MVP. Um, he had a great season, obviously on the one seed going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I know that last week, obviously Cozy's first in goals and and shots. Um, but Bacon really showed out that last week in on defense, which really pushed him over for the defensive player of the season. Um, so yeah, once we kind of got to the end, because we like to discuss them a little bit before the season ends,
Mm-hmm.
and this was definitely an award that we were like, we have to wait
Yeah.
to see how this last week plays out before we can
I mean, all of Pixel.
pick. Yeah,
All
Pixel
of
in
Pixel
general
is
was like,
weighted.
we have to wait. We have
Yeah.
names that we are confident in, but we really have to see how these last weeks play out before we can do anything definitive. Whereas I think for Prism, we were kind of already set for the most part. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations, Bacon. First award, right? It's his first season award.
I know. He's been manager, I know that.
That doesn't count.
Okay, first player award. Let me
First
look to
player
make
award.
sure that's the case. Yeah, he was manager last season, and that's it. So, yeah, first player award for Bacon. Feels good. Feels good.
Shown out for ownership. I'm
So
proud of
true,
you.
Panda. And with that, we have one award left to give, and I think this does have my favorite line of text on it.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Anyway, I will be doing the manager of the season for Pixel here. And without further ado, it's another beautiful butterfly boy. The leader of the butterfly boys. It's Panda. Panda, what a guy. Let me tell you about this guy. He's amazing. He saved he saved Shade from Bacon. I love that, dude.
That was the first thing I thought of to put on there. I was like, I have to.
I love that. Awesome. Shade finally escaped.
He got him away. Bacon's not a manager, but the gravitational field, it would have pulled him. He would have gone to Boston.
Yes, POTUS decided that Panda's winning manager of the season, so congratulations,
Okay.
Panda.
Yeah. This is another one where none of of the top 4, the only team that made a bunch of changes or any changes at all was Inchin. And the problem there is the changes weren't always fantastic, and they have a new manager who managed like 3 weeks. And so that's not going to be manager of the season. You know? But out of the other 3 then, it becomes Cozy, Panda, Pit Cop. Who do you want? And so that was the challenge with this award. Because obviously teams aren't a factor, and none of them made roster changes. And so who do you look to? And my first choice, and the first name we looked towards, was Pit Cop. Because obviously you need to celebrate that season, that he didn't have as high of draft picks, and that team did rise to be first. But at the same time, Panda manages to snag players who, outside of Honda, well, he snagged Bran, who isn't as well known, and then he finds his team with a clear plan of players he knows and players that have chemistry, and it's obviously worked out pretty well. I will say I also wanted to somehow include that Panda has managed to survive feuds between Honda and Bran, but I didn't know how to word it and get it on there. I tried several ways of getting that in there. So, but of course, we can celebrate that Panda manages to keep his roster because he doesn't need a change or he doesn't have any chaos, messing things up. So, a positive quality there as well. And then again, just consistency. That this team, outside of maybe outside of the first week, I think they ended in like 9th. And then after that, they were consistently like third, fourth the rest of the way. And so they were consistently in the conversation. They get that win over Daytona. They had a strong season. And obviously, during this segment, we'd be amiss to not mention Cozy, who had a similar way of things, drafted his team, and they were like top 2, top 3 the entire way. But again, same sort of deal. It's just looking for slight differences. And Panda is someone we know who's been here before. We know they were working as a team. We know they were cooking. And so it goes to Panda.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we want to do a little recap, Doggo?
Yeah.
Do you have a graphic for that, or did we not?
No.
Did we not make those?
I could've.
No.
I could
It's all
have.
right.
I should have.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
True, Panda. You're like
Yeah,
that.
well, he's that guy. He's a beautiful butterfly boy.
As he says in the chat, first award is manager, because he is just like that. And his first act as manager was saving Shade. Love that for him.
Saving Shade. That got you so many points you don't even know. Okay? So many points.
Because, with the players, I stick the season stats up there, we're good. Then it comes to manager, and I got to figure it out.
There's a lot of gray area with managers, because Doggo likes to put a lot of stock into making moves.
Yeah.
I don't really care if they make moves or not. It just depends.
I think it helps because, again, as a manager, your baseline, draft a team and win. If you do that, that's great. But if a manager maybe is working out okay, and then they make the aggressive choice to make a move and it makes them better, like with Wico in Chicago, that's a clear plus in them being a better manager in the season for me.
My thing is, though, if it's lateral,
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
well, who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Panda. Where the only maybe example of that is Inchin, but I think they were all pretty lateral. And again, new manager, so you can't really even count those. So this was just a field of everyone maintain their roster. What are the small differences? What do you give points to? But I mean,
would you at least come in second? No.
Unfortunately.
No,
second is Pitt, 100%, I think.
And then
at least
probably
for me.
And then probably Cozy after that.
Yeah. And then
well, Draco, you were been a manager for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
so
Draco, you've been fine, if not good as a manager, but again, small sample size. You can't give manager of the season to a guy who's managed 3 weeks. But yeah, I mean, we can credit Lynx. Obviously, team ended in a good spot and had some good moves to shore up their roster, but again, team performance. These teams just did so much better throughout the entire season that it comes to between them for the award. And I think the exception to that has been we gave it to Stewie because he kind of saved their season with some moves. But generally, we will still lean into team performance, and I think that's where it fell, that we really just looked at the top 4 and said who can get it.
Well, yeah, and last season, I think Stewie is... that's a tough one, just because Stewie got the team with all compensation picks and took them into the playoffs, so, I mean... Yeah, that's a crazy thing to do, especially in Prism. It's a crazy thing to do. So.
Yeah. So obviously that needs a lot, but so obviously I don't quite have a graphic for it, but we can go to our starting soon. We can sit here. Let me just do this for. Now I can do that. I mean, it doesn't really work. Bang. That's not great, but we're gonna run with it because it's funny.
Words exclamation point show.
Yep, because you can't really put words between because it reads top to bottom. I want to put something there because it's an empty space. What if I do verses? It's a competition.
Yes,
Guys,
good, nice.
are you a fan of the awards of the show? What do you think? How are we feeling?
It's probably the show. They're like, we love Doggo.
Chat, what's the vibe here? Maybe awards and show? Maybe awards or show. We vote at the beginning of the stream.
Awards or show.
Either we just put them all on screen or we just talk for a while, do our own podcast, and don't announce anything.
And then we post it afterwards.
Exactly.
Next season, guys, tune in for awards or show.
Chat, you're all betting. Whichever one gets more channel points wins, and that's what we do. So let's see some high rolls.
Shade, the big beautiful butterflies won exactly the most amount of
max.
awards they could have won. It's not like I don't know how to. What are you talking about?
There we go. Now we're locked in. But
Doggo. Oh no.
I mean, running down our list again from top to bottom in the order of the list you see there. For Prism, you have MVP to Hallow, offensive to LA2, defensive to JT, manager to Wiko. Then for Pixel, in the same order, it was MVP to Cozy, offensive to Honda, defensive to Bacon, manager to Panda. And then the community award went over to Kellen.
We love you, Kellen.
I'm not sure if there's too much else to talk about just because we spent so much time. I mean, I guess we talked about at the beginning of the show. This was a very tough year to do awards, or tough season to do awards. I think both leagues had a clear top 3 or 4, and it was very hard to pick a player who stood out within that.
Yeah,
Right.
it was just putting people into places and figuring out where we had to make adjustments on the other awards, because obviously we start with MVP because that's just where you start. And so like picking our MVPs and then figuring out how to maneuver around the other two with who we picked for MVP was extremely difficult this season in particular. Whereas sometimes it's just like there's not a front runner, or there's not a guy that we're like really deserves an award. But this season for sure, it was like both of these people deserve both of these awards, but we can't both give them. Yeah, it was tough, but we made it work thanks to Doggo and Bacon's beautiful bald head. We made it work.
And congrats on awards to getting called up to the show. I still just be putting text in there.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to end this. Oh no.
Okay. And yeah, so I think a very good season, very good players all around, but yeah, I think it was a hard one to decide, but it was a fun one, and it wasn't hard because no one played well. It was kind of because everyone did. And so it was hard to just say, okay, but who was the best? You know? So thank you for being here, Koa. I think it was a good stream.
I think so too. I think we went longer than we were planning on, but it is what it is.
I mean, the text seems a little bit impatient.
Oh.
But.
Oh. Okay.
So you have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, again, thank you for being here, and I'll go do a short outro then.
Damn it.
All right. And we are now deafened, so we will wrap things up. So again, thank you to everyone who came out. Now, I did see it, People ask predictions for who's going to win each league. That's tough. It's been talked about, so I don't need to bring Koa in for this. I want to put something else in that text box, but there's nothing to put there, so I'm just going to leave it. Again, Pixel's tough. I'm going Boston. That's who I put in my predictions. And for Prism, it's tough. I think it depends on Calgary, because I think Calgary can outplay everyone, but it's a question of will they. We also haven't seen them against Lincoln or Hanoi, so we don't know how that's going to go. So it seems like Chicago counter Hanoi and Lincoln pretty well, but Calgary counter Chicago. And so it might just be, can a team take down Calgary to open it up more for Chicago? Or can one of Hanoi or Lincoln look better against Chicago? And so the easy answer by that is probably Chicago, but I think another easy answer is probably Hanoi. So, with all that said, that's playoffs. And playoffs are what's up next. This is being done on Monday night, and this is already into playoffs week because we were a little bit later doing them than normal. So, that does it for this stream. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for hearing all of our award choices. But up next, we got the playoffs. Single limb. Here's where it gets interesting. I think the first game for now is scheduled on Wednesday, so we'll see you back then. But that does it for now.